What's going on? Is Anton from AntonDaniels.com. I appreciate you guys for continuing to rock with me. Just as I was about to turn in for the night, because as of right now, it's pretty late. It's almost 11 o'clock at night on the East Coast. But right now, I'm on the West Coast because I'm out here for CES and I'm out in Vegas taking care of business. And so my time zones is a little bit messed up. And so I try to get a little bit of a early start so that I could go to some of the media events tomorrow and at the same time do the Millionaire Morning Show. And I'm milling around and I'm trying to find out what's happening over the weekend so that I can prepare myself for tomorrow. And guess what? Guess what? As soon as I thought that I was in the clear, I get a couple of emails from some sources that said, Anton, you got to come and check out this lawsuit. Now, initially, I'm like, well, you know what? It's another guy that's under duress and he's being held accountable by some woman that wants to come up financially. And so she's going to sue. And that's what we're looking at here with this lawsuit. This is basically a lawsuit against multiple different entities, including Skip Bayless by a woman named Nushin Farhadi. Farhadi, all right? And suing Fox Corporation, Fox Sports Holdings, but also has Skip Bayless and Joy Taylor, and also named Charlie Dixon. Let me say that again. Skip Bayless, who you see right there, Joy Taylor, in which I thought that I was going to be having this conversation about Skip Bayless, but we're going to shelve that and we're going to talk about this on the Millionaire Morning Show. But I just want to kind of give you guys the highlights before we break it all the way down and get into the nitty gritty, all right? I'm not going to focus so much on Skip Bayless tonight. I'm going to focus on Skip Bayless tomorrow. Tonight, I want to focus on Joy Taylor. And the reason that I want to focus on Joy Taylor is because I knew it. I called it. I had a conversation about it. And I said it. I said that this woman with her trash podcast, just like every other woman, I believed personally that she had been sleeping her way to the top, because there's no way in hell that you can tell me that she's been engaged or in all of these relationships and she talks so confidently and she didn't care whether or not people canceled her or anything like that. That type of attitude was a red flag to me that told me that usually these type of women get opportunities based off of their looks and not because of their talent. Usually these type of women get looks because of their looks and not necessarily because of their talent. I'll give you an example, right? Let's scroll down, because as I was reading this lawsuit against Skip Bayless and Fox Sports and all of that, and again, we're going to go over this on the Millionaire Morning Show tomorrow. This woman told everything, and I'm not saying that she's 100% correct, and I have to obviously say innocent until proven guilty, but this is a lawsuit, and so this is a civil trial. Similarly to how y'all try to throw everybody else under the bus, we might as well go ahead and have this conversation. But if you scroll down a little bit, she goes in to say, she highlights how Skip Bayless back in 2016 and all of that. From 2016 to 2024, he signed big year deals, 4-year, $32 million contract. And then she goes in to say defendant Joy Taylor. So Joy Taylor is one of the defendants in this lawsuit. And she is describing her as for the streets. She says, and I quote, and I'm going to read the exact lawsuit. And this lawsuit was filed on the 3rd, so right into the new year, the 3rd of January 2025. She coming for the bag. Does she deserve the bag? Probably not, but we'll get there. We don't care about whether or not she deserved the bag or not. She goes into the amount of money that Fox Sports and all of this generated in revenue and all of this stuff. And then she says defendant Joy Taylor is a media personality and television host for Fox. She co-hosts the show Speak on FS1. At all relevant times, Ms. Taylor is an agent of Fox and had the authority to make decisions impacting Ms. Farhadi's employment. And upon information and belief, Ms. Taylor is a resident of the state of California. She goes on to let me deep dive a little bit. Hired to work at Fox, blah 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 blah. We don't care about any of that. I want to get to the thick of things. All right. Mr. Dixon, who was a power player and executive apparently over at Fox Sports at the time, was giving Miss Taylor undisputed as a reward for giving up that box. Check it out. In approximately March 2016, she met Miss Taylor, an aspiring sports personality that had recently moved from Miami to Los Angeles for the opportunity of airtime at Fox. At the time, Miss Taylor did not have a regular position, but would fill in on a day-to-day basis when talent was sick, otherwise missed time. Miss Taylor told Miss Farahi that she recently wed, but her husband remained in Miami and that she was lonely in Los Angeles. She then befriended this woman. In approximately May 2016, Miss Taylor asked Miss Farhadi to meet for a drink in Santa Monica. When she arrived, she found that Miss Taylor was with an older man, Fox Sports executive vice president of content, Mr. Dixon, power player, decision maker. It's not just about sales. This is just like Diamond said, using what you got to get what you want. As executive vice president, Mr. Dixon is responsible for overseeing all content and production on Fox 1. However, she didn't know Mr. Dixon at the time. This is Joy Taylor that was introducing him. When Mr. Dixon went to buy them another round of spicy margaritas, Miss Farahi asked who he was with. Miss Taylor responded that he was just a friend. Following that night, when she would meet with Miss Taylor for drinks, Mr. Dixon would either arrive with Miss Taylor or show up late in the night and leave with Miss Joy Taylor. He would always buy a round of drinks and food, and from their body language, she suspected that the pair was sleeping with each other. And although this concerned her, she knew Miss Taylor was recently married. She kept her opinions to herself. In approximately June 2016, while at work, she noticed Mr. Dixon in an elevator. Surprised by the coincidence, she found Miss Taylor and told her excitedly the guy who always buys drinks is in the elevator. Miss Taylor quickly silenced her, explaining who he was, and she became alarmed and warned Miss Taylor that such a relationship was unsafe. She told her not to worry about it, and they continued to be friends with Miss Taylor, but tried to distance herself as she considered the situation dangerous as well as morally wrong for Miss Taylor and Mr. Dixon, who both of them were married. Then, obviously, fast forward in approximately June 2016, word spread amongst Fox's employees about a new show that was going to be a big deal, as it would star Mr. Bayless and Shannon Sharp. Obviously, we know that was undisputed. Therefore, it came, and they was looking for a woman with significant TV experience, also to star. And it came as no surprise when Fox announced Miss Taylor, who was a bartender and radio host in Miami with very little TV experience, would be the moderator of the new show. Skip and Shannon undisputed. Mr. Bayless later disclosed that he didn't want Miss Taylor on the show, and he was adamant Mr. Dixon, who allegedly she was sleeping with, was adamant that Miss Taylor should star. And at first, Mr. Dixon arranged a dinner between Mr. Bayless and Miss Taylor, where she arrived in provocative clothing and acted in a provocative manner. When that did not change Mr. Bayless's opinion, Mr. Dixon asked him to approve of her as a favor to him, and reluctantly, Mr. Bayless agreed to do so as a favor to his friend. Around August 2016, she attended a dinner with Miss Taylor and her husband and Mr. Dixon and his wife. During dinner time, Miss Taylor's husband became suspicious that Miss Taylor and Mr. Dixon was having a sexual relationship. Soon after the dinner, Miss Taylor's husband found evidence of the inappropriate relationship and divorced Joy Taylor. Crazy. Obviously, we're going to go into Mr. Dixon groping Miss Farahi after putting her on Undisputed. Everybody was busting down everybody. It's just a rite of passage. I want to skip down a little bit. It's just going to be crazy show tomorrow. I don't want to talk about Skip Bayless. We're going to say that for tomorrow. Miss Taylor, again, uses her sexuality to get on a show. In approximately February 2020, Miss Taylor asked her to meet for lunch in Beverly Hills. When she arrived, she found Miss Taylor with a man, Emmanuel Acho. Mr. Acho. Ms. Farahi did not know Mr. Acho, but could tell that the two were romantically involved. A few months after meeting him at lunch, she noticed him in the hallway while at work. She later asked Miss Taylor if Mr. Acho also worked at Fox. Miss Taylor confirmed and explained she wanted Mr. Acho to eventually recommend her on the show. Speak for yourself. She became alarmed and warned Miss Taylor that she would probably not sleep with she should probably not sleep with Mr. Dixon and Mr. Acho at the same time, as Mr. Dixon is a very powerful man that may become very angry. That's my chick. That's my hoe over there. Miss Taylor told her not to work. Don't worry about it, girl. I can let them both bust me down at the same time. She explained that she was also now powerful, and once Mr. Dixon was no longer useful to her, she would follow through on her plan to tell the company that he forced himself on her. She would now not allow herself to be forced out by Mr. Dixon like other women talent. In approximately September 2022, Miss Taylor started to work on Speak. Miss Taylor requested her to do her hair. This is so many red flags in this shit. It's so many red flags in this. This is why I say I by default do not believe all women. I by default do not believe all women. Is so much in here because she was already planning to leverage it and say that he did something that he wasn't supposed to do to Mr. Dixon. Okay, so he was wrong with sleeping with her and he was wrong with all of this, but that don't mean that he forced himself on her because she voluntarily was using herself as tribute in order to level up, and it was mutually beneficial and it worked out for all parties. But more importantly, if this is true, Joy Taylor is for the streets. She is the biggest whore. If this is true, she, in my opinion, is the biggest whore of 2025. And this is evidence of why she had such a bad attitude, because she don't feel like nothing can happen to her because she for the streets. Y'all let me know what y'all think inside of the comments. You're hearing it first. Make sure you tap into the Patreon. Link is in the description. Millionaire Morning Show is going to be lit tomorrow. Millionaire Morning Show is going to be lit tomorrow. I love y'all. I appreciate y'all. We deep diving into the whole thing. I'm going to holler at y'all later. Peace.